Welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's very sunny video, I apologize in advance, we're talking about when we're actually going to see the next generation WRX STI or just the STI. We're going to talk about, why we're not seeing it this year, when we're potentially going to see it, and basically everything you need to know based on Subaru's past history with announcing cars, where we think they're going based on evidence across their fleet and statements that they've made, both about the WRX, about other things, about their global platform, about electrification of the platform, and maybe some even just follow-up about why the STI didn't come out in this past generation release. And I did promise you guys a one-year follow-up, and that is today's video, and it's timed perfectly because right now is typically when Subaru has previously announced new generations, new model years, basically new announcements about next generation or new cars, and we haven't heard anything. So we can make some inferences off that. Now I'm gonna get straight to one of the more disappointing pieces of the video, and this is gonna kill my video's retention, but we're not seeing an STI in 2025, and we're not seeing an STI in 2026. It's not happening. I will explain why, but because most of you guys are going to click off the video right now, I would hugely appreciate just if you could like the video or comment on the video. Even if you plan on staying in the video, it does a huge amount to the channel. It really helps the video, and the channel is struggling right now, even though I've got a ton of content coming, so I would really appreciate it. Even if you're just commenting, just say hello. I will say hello back. Okay, so back to it. So we basically, we know it's not coming in 2025. They would have already released it. We're already seeing auto shows being scheduled and being planned, and there's nothing from Subaru that would indicate that we're seeing it now. There's also no reason for them to do a generation update or an update of their global Subaru platform, or the platform that is becoming the normalized platform for all manufacturing for Subaru. Now, you might say this doesn't make sense for the cars that they want to release. Well, unfortunately, it's not a consumer side thing. It's just a manufacturing thing. Subaru needs to make manufacturing a uniform process so that they can compete with the global car market. Yes, the next generation STI is going to have some relevancy and comparative features to basically every other Subaru. It's mostly going to be chassis. It's mostly going to be basic framework and things like that. It's going to be on a platform that has some recognition. It's not going to be its own car. Now, I've also made a statement here saying that we're not going to see it in 2026, and I can also basically make that statement. In the past, we've usually gotten a 2-year heads up from Subaru about releases for new cars. More often, more important than not, you start seeing information coming about development, R&D, certain technologies, and unfortunately we've gotten the fortunately maybe, we've gotten the WRX TR, which is going to replace what could have been an announcement for a 2026 model year STI. It also just wouldn't make sense based on Subaru's history about releasing new cars, new generations. Sorry, I was enjoying getting onto the highway there. And Subaru typically runs in a 6 to 10 year life cycle of their generations before a major update. Now, that doesn't mean we should all be scared that it's never gonna come out. An STI will be released. I'm convinced that there is a business need for it. Subaru's also talked about it, so we're gonna see one. It's just a question of when. Now, this is where the video gets interesting, because my prediction, and yes, it's a prediction, but it's based on factual evidence. I know on this channel, people love the idea that you have to have a fact for every single thing that ever has happened. Those same people would look at a card that was blue and tell you there's no factual proof that it's blue, but beside the point, what I've done is I've looked at historical norms from Subaru. I've looked at the data that is very public and observable about releases, model releases, and just tracked the information that they've been publicly posting, one about the STI, and the fact that they wanted to wait for the electrification, the possible of electric hybrid or an all-electric. Well, I'm also looking at what Subaru's been doing with their electric platforms, what the development looks like that, and we're making some inferences. And I think that an important metric to understand here is the actual lack of success Subaru is having with their electric platforms. And I actually think it means a good thing for us. I think it actually means we're gonna see an STI sooner. I think that they're going to realize, and they're probably realizing just based off of sales numbers, that an all-electric STI likely doesn't make sense, and having some type of STI to come in the middle ground is probably the best for their business, and it would just reflect what the numbers that we're seeing are. The WRX is selling very well, and their gas-powered cars are selling very well, and they're having a hard time moving their electric vehicles. So you know, they're not going to take a risk on an electric STI, is my guess right now, unless something changes. So what does this mean? I actually think it means that we're going to see an STI sooner than we were initially expecting, and I think what's going to end up happening is, just based on their historic norms, we're going to hear about that STI at the end of 2026, the beginning of 2027, and it's going to become available either at the end of 2027 or the beginning of 2028. Now, that can be hugely disappointing for a lot of people in this video, and if you've stuck this far through, you probably like Subarus enough that you are in your gut feeling like, dang, that stinks. It is just a reality statement of, you know, the situation, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There would be no evidence to suggest Subaru would do anything else, and in fact, my prediction here is probably predicting that they're going to be going a little bit faster than what Subaru has historically done. So you might even say that if we follow the historic norms around STIs and WRXs, that we won't really see it until 2028, 2029. But I make this video and this update to say, you know, one, to keep you guys updated, but also to say, don't wait out for the STI. If you want to be in this platform, either buy, you know, the STIs that are available or have some fun with the F824. You might actually find that you absolutely love this car, especially just because we don't exactly know what's going to be coming out with the new generation STI. There will be questions at that time about manual availability. Will it come into a manual? What are regulations going to say about having manual cars? Will they meet EPA and fuel economy standards? There's a really good chance that in 3 or 4 years from now, the idea of having a manual transmission car that is, you know, readily available in a fleet, you know, like let's say that they make more than a couple thousand of them per year, might just not be allowed by, you know, both the US government, the European Union, whatever the governing body is for these cars. So enjoy what we have now, because that might not be the future. And I think that the idea of a high performance, high powered automatic is also exciting. You know, like I would still be excited about it. If it comes with a CVT, gosh, I will be so disappointed, but I just don't know what's gonna come. I think that right now, my pessimism about having the next STI be a manual, or not be a manual, let's say, is increasing. I think we are tangibly at the point where it just might not happen. And I mean, the WRX having a much higher skew towards the GT models and the automatic WRXs, I mean, it's apparent. I also think it helps those of us that have manual WRXs because it makes them somewhat of more of a commodity, but we're going into a used market crash anyways, so who knows what's gonna happen. But I think that's the earliest that we're gonna see something. I mean, we're gonna see the TR become available shortly here, and then the TR is gonna live, like, you know, again, if you wanna talk about the factual basis and what I'm drawing from there, I'm looking at the, you know, the S209 and Type RA releases and how much time there were between them and the new generation WRX, the one that I'm sitting in right now, and when those announcements were, and it tracks, right? I mean, I'm just assuming there hasn't been any leadership changes at Subaru that are substantial on their marketing side, and like, yeah, I've gone that far into it. I'm looking at Subaru as a whole. So a lot of you guys do accuse me of making these videos just to make the video and have an update, but I do a fair amount of research before making the video because I want to give a good estimate. And I want to say, like, I mean, I haven't been that wrong over the many, many, many years and generations and cars that I've made guesses about. I haven't been that far off, honestly. And, you know, there've certainly been times where I have been off, and I will be the first to say I missed certain things, but I've been pretty close. So I'm hoping to keep up with that. Obviously, we will do another check-in a year from now. I wish Subaru had either given us a F824 with an STI transmission or an STI. I think that they have fumbled the bag, let's say, and just, you know, left money on the table that they could have taken, honestly, from us. Because I will tell them, and if I have the opportunity to get in front of Subaru someday, I would have shelled out real money for an STI transmission in this car, even if it's like an aftermarket choice. Like, imagine, and this will be the last thing we talk about in this video, so I appreciate you guys if you're still here. Imagine if Subaru came out as a manufacturer and said, you can bring in your WRX, your F824 WRX that makes more power, more reliably than the EJ. One, you know, if this all happens before the situation, the aftermarket will become further developed. But imagine if Subaru said, you can bring in your WRX, and for X amount of dollars, we will from the factory install an STI trans and drivetrain, or have something that integrates, and we'll warranty it for a little bit. Obviously, if you're doing it, you're gonna tune your car anyways. But just imagine Subaru, I mean, think about how much money they would make, because so many people would spend. I mean, I would pay, realistically, $6,000 or $8,000 for that. And that's, I mean, it'd probably be more money, honestly, but I'd pay real money for that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you learned something, let me know in the comment section below. If you stuck this far through the video, I like to know who's doing it and my super fans. I remember you guys. Let me know in the comments if you stuck this far through, and I'll see you guys there.